Ultra's greatest asset is its community. We strive to provide a transparent, authentic view into what we are doing and why. Towards that end, this week, we've reached out to you all and fielded questions from across social media with the intent of hearing what you'd like to know most about our project, its progress, and, of course, its technology. We talked about security, documentation deployment, in-game fungible tokens, our upcoming decks, and much more. Let's get to it. So let's start with the first question. Has the development of the UltraGo mobile app started? If yes, the release is scheduled for when approximately? This is from the French community.
All right. So the development has not started yet. In like directly, it has started indirectly. So we basically, before we start on the mobile app, we want to complete certain functionalities for both the Ultra client and a Chrome extension, which will be sort of like our own MetaMask. And and that version, this UI, which will be kind of like vertical, will be exactly the same that we're going to reuse in the mobile app. So we don't do the mobile app right now simply because it's going to be more efficient for us to do these other ones and then make a mobile app out of that. The libraries for signing transactions and sending them to the blockchain are going to be exactly the same, and so they're designed to be cross-platform in mind.
When will we have the documentation to do the dApps and the integration of games under Ultra with the possibility of having access to test the BC initially? This is also from the French community.
Okay, so we have right now a documentation for blockchain developers. We also have tools for spinning your own local Ultra network, which is convenient for doing all kinds of tests and not wasting time with network delays and so on. And we have smart contract. We have made a tool for smart contract development and testing. And then there's a bunch of other files and applications and libraries which are useful for making your own wallets, for sending transactions on the blockchain and so on. So this is all right now essentially completed. And we've started socializing this documentation to some of our close partners. So basically, essentially, we've done a soft launch right now. And simply because we want to get some feedback, make sure that there's nothing wrong somewhere, that we get the same question 1,000 times. But very soon we will basically make a public announcement and provide everything to everybody.
Right, and I know that some of our community members have already found that documentation.
Well, there you go. So if you have something cool you're working on, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are kind of like lately kind of like centralizing all the communication on a new Discord channel for developers. So please join the channel, and we will be listening to your questions and trying to help you start making dApps for Ultra.
Does the recent implementation of 2FA allow you to transfer your UOS to the platform in a completely secure way? This is also from the French community.
So it is secure. It's as secure as a 2FA. It's not as secure as a hardware like a Ledger device. So I would say feel free to do it. Our objective with the 2FA is to really basically cover 100% of our user base with an even higher protection than just a username and password and SMS or email verification. Now we added this extra layer, which is applicable to literally everybody, because 2FA works for everybody, while a hardware wallet requires you to actually own that hardware wallet. So for us, the next step now in terms of security will be supporting a hardware wallet. But I think for now, you should feel pretty confident with this. If you have millions of dollars and you have a wallet, a hardware wallet, then we it's always better to have a hardware wallet.
Do you have any devs developing games that are planning on utilizing your NFT SDK and deploying the game multi-platform on console and PC, opening up gaming NFTs to more than just PC players? This is from Dan Brown on Twitter.
Yes. So we have games that are being developed using our SDK, and some of these games have, an eye on console platforms. It's a big decision. Supporting multiple platforms for a game developer is very cumbersome. It requires many more developers. And so it's not something all developers do. But I know a couple of developers who have the desire to do that. And so whether they will do it or not, it's really up to them.
Will we be able to create our own tokens on the Ultra protocol, or will we have to switch to ERC20? Even if you can't tell, do you have a clue? I'm thinking of Alerium and the future AAA game.
Yeah. So we're working on a concept that is similar to our unique token factories, but for fungible token. And the advantage of that is that if you create your fungible token through that system, your token will be compatible with the whole ecosystem instantly. So today on Ethereum, basically every time you create a token, you take a smart contract, maybe you make some modification, then you publish it on Ethereum, Solana, whatever. But the problem with this structure or method is that everybody makes modification, which means that everybody needs to audit the smart contract, because you don't know what they modified. Is it the pure standard? Often they change stuff. There might be bugs. So you need to every time audit that. And number two, you need to kind of know the contract address and all of that. And then when you make a dApp, you need to support one contract address, another one, another one, another one. You kind of need to keep track of what's going on. And with what we build, you the creator of the token, you will be able to just talk to the blockchain and say, hey, create me a token. I want it to be a token with limited supply. I want 1 billion tokens. I want to call it that. And that's it. And so you basically just make a request, and boom, the blockchain creates this token. And this token then, as a result, doesn't need to be audited, because you only need to audit one time that special contract, and then everybody that use it, can rely on the safety of that contract. And so when you create then a dApp or a game or something like that, if you support one token from this special system contract, you're essentially supporting all of the token. Like, you just need to decide what is the token from that list that you want to make compatible with your game. And so we're working on this, and there's some other cool stuff that will be related to this. And this allows basically people to create token without having to know how to program, or even spend time programming if they know how to program. And tokens will be safe and completely interoperable with the entire ecosystem, including Ultra's wallet, including Ultra's SDK, including the DEXs and so on and so forth. So super easy for game developers and dApp developers in the long run.
The next question is kind of in the same vein. Let's say a game has his own token. If I buy one token of this game, will it be converted to UOS automatically? Or our client wallet will have lots of sections for each game coin I own plus UOS, and then do the game coins, are they converted to US? He hopes that he's clear. I think what he's actually asking about is the DEX. This is Ultra King from Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think we hinted about this already. We partnered with a very cool company that is making a DEX on Ultra. And the DEX will be kind of like at the center of everything about conversion, token launch, and so on. So this will be announced actually pretty soon. Stay tuned about it. I'm super excited about that because it was kind of like one pillar that was missing for our ecosystem, having a DEX. I play a game, I earn some coins. If I want to convert them to US or vice versa, I need a place to be able to do that. And that service will be able to be provided. And again, with all the advantages of Ultra's blockchain, instant transaction, no transaction fees, no onboarding friction. So this is going to be a very interesting DEX in that, extent where it's the kind of DEX that hasn't been done so far.
Ultra Robert on Twitter is asking, how will you assess Ultra's success?
Um, so Ultra is kind of like a multifaceted company. We have the blockchain, we have the game distribution, we have the NFT standard, we have the NFT marketplace. There's going to be many different things. So um, I think globally speaking, the success of Ultra can be the easiest way to kind of like identify is first of all, is it sustainable? And so we built a lot of technology around a sustainability. Like we don't want to run out of certain resources where we're like, okay, we can't run anymore. So this is number one. And then number two is how many users are using Ultra every day. So because there will be so many different services on Ultra, some of them we made ourselves, some of which are made by third parties. I think the success is really going to be how many users are coming on Ultra and staying on Ultra. Even though they might use just one service on the platform regularly, that means the platform is successful, in my opinion.
The next question we have is from James010 on Twitter. When will the marketplace get released? Because you mentioned delays, but I don't know if it's meant for Ultra Games or the marketplace also. So I think maybe we should clarify kind of what our high-level timelines actually are.
Okay, so when we spoke about delays, we spoke more about delays that occurred in the past. That was mostly a sort of like a mea culpa. We are in a much better place today that we were, a year or 2 years ago when it comes to predictability of development schedule. By the matter in fact, what we're releasing now every 2 weeks or every month on the platform is mostly released on time according to our internal schedule. So now for the marketplace that we launched with another 500 people, we received a lot of feedback, a lot of which we knew about. It's just because we're releasing, like, okay, you want more filters, you want to be able to organize them by price and so on. These are kind of like the given, and it's part of like what's being scheduled for the next update. But then there are also a bunch of bugs which were maybe related to the quantity of people refreshing the page simultaneously, and these kind of things that allow us to smooth rough corners. And so the next phase, I think, will start as soon as we fixed these bugs. And we will be adding, thousands of users additionally to the platform, which will further stress test the platform. We will be launching other tokens, uniques. And this will, allow us to be confident to actually open the platform to the public. So I would say we're very close to it. So yeah, I can't say a date, but it's gonna happen this summer.
We have a question from Anders Vic Hoytorp on Twitter. Could old classics like the old Assassin's Creed games be run through your SDK and then implement NFTs?
Any game, actually, even any app, like our SDK could be integrated in, I don't know, IoT devices or mobile apps or console or web apps, really anywhere. So as long as you have the source code of your source game or app, you will be able to integrate NFTs in whatever way you want.
We had an interesting guest on, I think maybe 6 months ago, and we actually talked about this. And the question wasn't like, could we? The question was, should we? So I'll extend that question and say, like, should people take old games and wedge NFTs into them? Because it really deeply changes the mechanics of the game, how the game is played, why it's played. I mean, is it a good idea?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure there are some games that would benefit tremendously from it, while other games wouldn't. Um, so it should be decided on a case by case basis by game developers. Yeah, it's kind of like everybody has their super old but mega, uh, beloved game in their mind, and a lot of these games are being remastered and new version come out. And I think if you're a real fan, getting a new spin and kind of like having interesting mechanics being added and so on is definitely a plus. Like, um, I mean, yeah, I have a bunch of games in my head that I'm thinking of, and that would be like, yeah, that would be kind of cool actually.
The next question is from Hernan Arbor on Twitter. I think this is actually one of the more interesting questions in the list. What is the biggest challenge for onboarding AAA game developers onto the network?
So actually, onboarding a or double A or triple A game developer is exactly the same. So I think um, there are no differences between them in terms of onboarding.
Well, not okay. So maybe we'll rephrase the question. When when we onboard game developers, first there's you have to convince them that the platform is appropriate for them, genuinely useful and good for their business.
Okay. So really large companies, they're kind of like, you think about them like really big boats that are very difficult to maneuver. And it's difficult because there are a lot of people that are responsible for a lot of different things. And before they take a decision, it goes through many people, many meetings, the legal aspects, and so on. So just like for any type of um, project or decision, anything takes time with big companies. Um, the thing is, right now, when it comes to NFTs in particular, um, there's been a lot of bad things that happened, scams, bad implementation, which caused, super bad user experience. And so users are pissed to see, NFTs in their games because, it completely breaks the game, the fun of it, and so on. So I think um, there's a series of big companies that proactively reach out to us and that says, okay, we want to do this, and can you help us, or what is your advice, and so on. And there's another group of companies where like we reach out to them and they're like, no, we're not touching NFTs. And then there's another group of companies where they say, we want to do it, but we need more information about how are we going to solve the problems that people are against right now. And so this is kind of like the situation right now is, the biggest companies out there. So there's really like either they're convinced, either they don't want to hear about it, or they want to be reassured. And so this is something I think that will change drastically as soon as you're going to have one major success of a, like, I shouldn't say real game, but you know what I mean, like,
Yeah.
because today if you see, for example, the success of Axie Infinity, for example, somebody like EA Games, for example, are not going to be able to relate very much to a game like that. So, but if they see like this big FPS that someone made somewhere that is mega successful with NFTs, for sure, next day you get a call from EA, right? Like, okay, we get it. We understand why this technology is different than the other that we've seen, and we notice that players love it, and so on. So it will change the game, but right now there are no games like this. All user experiences are very bad across all games. Blockchain adds a lot of complexity to a gamer's journey, and this is exactly what we're solving. So I believe that Ultra will lead, or at least substantially contribute to changing game developers' perspective to NFT games.
I wanted to say a big thanks to David for taking the time to answer all of our questions today. We'll be back next week with many more answers, so keep it ultra chill.